Welcome back. So here's the weird thing. Carolina, again, played a really good game tonight. They did. They played really well. They don't win. And this has to be getting really frustrating for the Carolina Hurricanes. It doesn't show with penalties or fights yet. That's not really their game. But you can see that Tampa Bay, man, do they take advantage of very few opportunities and make it work? Uh, they're they're kind of playing like maybe they want to defend that Stanley Cup after all, and we could see a really intense semifinals from here on out. So for Carolina, they knew they needed this one. You could see through the whole game they were playing like they needed this one. So near miss for the Canes early. Martinook had a shot that was caught and held. Same goaltender matchup as last game. So Nedeljkovic plays this game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Nedeljkovic doesn't start game three because Carolina needs a spark. Canes had a 2-on-1. Hamilton shoots one wide. Teravainen then fires one wide as well. The shots were 4-2 in favor of Carolina at 7 minutes. And it stays about 2-1 through this whole game. Svechnikov to Stahl was defended by Sergachev. There was a hand pass by the Bolts that draws a whistle. And Tampa Bay, they weathered that early push. So the shots start to even up. The Canes had some sloppy passing, which was giving the Bolts chances as well. The shots were 5 apiece with 5 minutes left. So between the 7-minute mark and the 15-minute mark, the Canes had one shot. There were 3 for Tampa. It was a very defensive matchup, especially in that first period. The Canes press, the Bolts keep them to the outside, and it already felt like first goal wins. We were already into a game that it felt like first goal wins. And it's weird because these are fast teams with a lot of depth, but you could just see that with the way that the defense was canceling out the offense, first goal was going to be very, very important tonight. So Hedman was denying Kane's zone entries. Victor Hedman is underrated defensively by some. Not by many, but some. Crossbar then for Dougie Hamilton. Nachas had a speed play that draws a power play. That's important. The Canes are going to want to do that more, I would say, the rest of this series. Use your speed. Try to get in on Tampa. Try to force their defense to take penalties because they will. They showed that against their first round opponent against Florida. But again, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, the power play for the Canes. A shorthanded Goudreau drives one wide, and we go into the second period. There was about 30 seconds left in that power play. Tampa Bay kills that off. There was an early Pesce shot that was saved. Palat had a shot blocked by Pesce at the other end. The Bolts had a 2-on-1. Nedeljkovic makes the save. Tampa Bay pressure. That draws a power play for them. Killorn missed a centering pass at the net. Strong penalty kill by the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Bolts couldn't set up at all. So a power play that's been lethal at points tonight looked not that great. And that's the funny thing with Tampa is one night their power play can look fantastic, and the next night, not so much. Vasilevsky then saves a chance from Foegele. Bolts had a 2-on-1 that fizzles out, and Yenny Gord with a fast break fires one wide. The first goal is scored at 7:09. It's Killorn from Stamkos, and it was one of those out of nowhere goals. And the first question I asked was how. How does this go in? And how did it go in? Well, Nedeljkovic was screened on the play by Cirelli, and he guessed left when the puck went right. So on the replay, it's going to look bad, but Nedeljkovic had no idea where that puck was because Cirelli was screening in front. So he guessed wrong. It's just one of those things where you can guess left, you can guess right, you have to guess where the puck is. He guesses wrong, the puck goes in the net. So yeah, Cirelli with the screen doesn't get a point, but definitely deserved one there. Vasilevsky then denies Svechnikov. We get into some pushy, hey going on out there. And that followed. The shots were 8-2 in favor of Carolina at 9 minutes. So back this up a little bit. The shots are 8-2 at the 9-minute mark, and the only goal scored in the period is by Tampa. And this is where Tampa just takes advantage of very few opportunities. And Vasilevsky is the best goalie in the league. He's the best goalie in the league. The Canes were being robbed by Vasilevsky to this point. Aho with a fast break fizzles out. The Bolts cleared out. Nedeljkovic's stick got launched into the corner as the Bolts pressed. It looked like a Tampa player must have knocked that out of his hand because it just flew into the corner. Or he was coming across and he just flung it. But it got some air. Those hockey sticks aren't that light, so it's not like they just necessarily go that way without some help. So the Bolts pressed after that. The Canes cleared it out, so he got his stick back. No harm, no foul there. The Bolts get some offensive zone time. They weren't getting shots, but then they got a 2-on-0. Kucherov was denied by Nedeljkovic. Then the other way, a net pass to Aho. That was defended out. With 5:17 left, we get some sticky slappy going on between these teams. Stahl was denied. Crossbar then for Ruda at the other end. The Bolts get a power play. That leads to a shorthanded 2-on-1 for the Canes. Nachas with a near miss. Vasilevsky with a nice poke check in and around the time he's coming in. Aho then generates another shorthanded chance, and Tampa Bay never got set up. They had 2 power plays tonight. They didn't set up on either of them. This was great penalty killing by Carolina. Take whatever positives you can out of this if you're the Canes. So after 2 periods, it's 1-0. But again, it was weird that it was 1-0 since the shots to that point in the game were 21-11 in favor of Carolina, and they're down. Has to be frustrating. And again, it's not like that goal that Nedeljkovic could have done anything about it necessarily other than guess the other way. It's just one of those guessing things. But yeah, early shot blocks for the Canes in the third period. The Bolts only had the 11 shots through 2 periods. Trocheck returns. He had collided with Foegele. Trocheck doesn't stay, though. Trocheck, I think, had 1 shift of about 16 seconds, and then he was gone again. So, he's not in the lineup. That would be a huge loss for Carolina if that is actually the net result of tonight's game. Killorn was denied, or Vasilevsky makes a couple of early saves. At 2:45, a high stick gives the Canes a power play. Aho fires one wide. The Bolts would kill that off. Killorn was then denied twice after that penalty kill ends. Ross Colton with a backhander blocked by Jake Bean. So Carolina on their heels a little bit. And then at 8:06, a fast break goal. Hedman from his own end spots Cirelli at center ice. It wasn't necessarily a great pass. The reception by Cirelli was fantastic. And then it's a nice backhand shot. He went around Brady Shea and scored. Chernak with the other assist on that at 8:06. And yeah, it was a really nice goal by Cirelli. So some ice cleanup was then needed because Killorn had been bleeding on the ice. So they had to clean that up because he was bleeding all over. You know what's strange about that too is they never show the actual cleanup of blood off the ice anymore. At least it's very rare that I see it in game, but they'll show the guy who's got his face all bloodied up. Okay, if you're trying to prevent the audience at home from getting upset over the sight of blood on the ice, why are you showing the guy with the face all covered and it's just weird, right? I'm the only one that looks at this and goes, I don't think this is upsetting people less. Because I know with certain broadcasts, they will not show it. They'll just say, yeah, so they're trying to clean up the ice, there's blood on the ice, they'll show like the crowd. Or they'll just show the bench. But in this case, they show the guy with the bloodied face. I don't get it. And they're like, I think he lost some teeth. Well, why don't you zoom on in there then, Tex? All right, so Canes then tried to answer. Some I don't like your face broke out at that point, where guys are pushed back and forth and you could just dub in every guy. I don't like your face. I don't like your face. I don't like your face. Slavin's shot was then blocked by Chernak. Stamkos then gets a near miss. Lawrence had a shot that deflects out, and then there was more of that, oh yeah, come here a minute. You come here a minute. Oh yeah? A lot of that going on. So a lot of come here a minute. The fans really wanted something to cheer for. You could feel that this crowd desperately wanted something to bring them up and get them really into it. So Teravainen to Svechnikov, Chernak defends that. Teravainen then had a shot that was saved. That was from the outside, though. That was basically like a point shot. And they weren't getting enough traffic to the net. They really need to get traffic. They need to bother Vasilevsky. They need to get in his head a little bit. Think of what Florida did in that last series. There were points in time where Vasilevsky almost looked rattled, right? So Kucherov had a break that was defended by Hamilton. The Canes then nearly scored with 3:45 left. Bolts cleared out. Palat's shot was blocked. Good shift by Gord. Killed some more time. We were down to 2 minutes left. So they pull the goalie because you have to. And you got the feeling that Rod Brindamore probably wanted to pull the goalie earlier, but Tampa Bay kept getting the puck and kept getting it into Carolina's end in that last 4 minutes of that period. So it takes them a while to get the goalie out. But when they do, they score relatively quickly. It's Svechnikov from Stahl and Teravainen at 18:30. So it's a 6-on-5 goal. Immediately they call a timeout. Goalie pull again with 1:20 seconds left. So they won the faceoff, get it in the other end, get Nedeljkovic pulled again. Bolts were hanging on. This was a nail biter at the very end here. Aho fires one wide. The fans were screaming for a tying goal. They desperately wanted that tying goal. Stahl had a shot saved with 9 seconds left. There was a net crash. The whistle goes with 1.6 seconds left. And you can just see it in Vasilevsky's eyes. He just wants this. And because they zoomed in on Vasilevsky, I'm like, man, he's so intense at playoff time. It's like what happened against Columbus 2 years ago just hurt him to his core, his soul. And now in the playoffs, last year and this year, he's been absolutely fantastic. So they hold on. They win by the same score as game one. It's 2-1. Tampa Bay's now ahead 2-0. Carolina, I think, has outplayed them through the first 2 games, but they're down by 2. So it doesn't matter. Vasilevsky's been absolutely fantastic. So we can all debate about their cap status and, what Tampa Bay's doing with their cap. Look, it's Vasilevsky's show. It really is. The shots tell the story. 8-6 Carolina in the first, 13-5 Carolina in the second, 10-4 Carolina in the third. Final shots 31-15 for Carolina. Both power plays 0 for 2. Hits 36-29 for Carolina. So they're out hitting them and out shooting them. Block shots 16-12 for Tampa. Vasilevsky saves 30 out of 31. Nedeljkovic saves 13 out of 15. It is not Nedeljkovic's fault. But if I was Rod Brind'Amour, I would consider bringing in Peter Mrazek for the next game just to change things up, make other lineup changes. They're going to have to if Trocheck's not going to be back. And if they're still without Niederreiter as well, minus Niederreiter and Trocheck, those are 2 of your better scoring forwards, better goal scoring forwards from this year. And you're a team that really needs goals right now. So we'll see what Carolina does going into Game 3. Tampa Bay, all they have to do is make sure they don't lose the next 2 at home. And then they get to sit and wait and see what happens with the semifinals. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding this game. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.